Welcome, Juju Gang. How is it going? Happy Friday, my friends. I appreciate you guys joining me for what is going to be the last power hour of the year. And some might say that's indeed a good thing. Let me know if you guys are, let me know where you guys are tuning in from, city, state, country, whatever you guys feel comfortable sharing. And let me know if my audio is coming in clear as well. I see a lot of people in the chat. Happy New Year to you as well, Paul. Geomission says good riddance 2022, honestly. Matthew, how's it going? Anoop, Farzad in the chat with his blueberries. I can't, by the way, if you haven't already figured this out, last stream that we did on Farzad's channel, he showed up with a blueberry shirt, like prominent blueberries on his shirt. I feel behind. I have a Juju Gang hoodie with my orange logo on the side, but I feel like I got to get a huge sized big fat Juju on a shirt or something, show you up. Great American, how's it going? And Farzad, you're welcome to come on stream. I DM'd you on Twitter. How's it going, Great American? Paul says, who would have thought the 120s felt so good? That's the best way to put today, I feel like. So 121.84. Oh, folks, we just turned green for what seems like the 900th time today, going back and forth with this ping pong action. But 121.86, Tesla is now officially green on a day where the NASDAQ is down 1%. The S&P 500 is also down 1%. And just for kicks, let's throw in Lucid and let's see what Lucid's up to. Lucid's following Tesla's price action here. Lucid's at $6.70. Actually didn't realize that. So we're pretty much flat here, folks. So let's look at some city, state, countries. If you guys are tuning in on the replay, let me know as well. Always read all the comments on the replays as well. Minnesota, Sydney. Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate that. Matthew. Sweden. Paco says, all the best for 2023. You as well, my friend. Digital, how's it going? Cindy, how's it going from Australia? Jealous of the weather, I'm sure. Here for the green ending. I hope so. Leonardo. What are your delivery expectations? Brian, great question. We're going to be going through this midway-ish through the stream. I'm going to ask for you guys to drop your predictions below, but until then, ponder on it, think about it, try to rationalize whatever number you come up with, but we're going to try to make a contest out of this. Sam, how's it going? Real Futurist, Boise, Idaho. How's it going, my friend? Montana, Holland. I woke up and we split 3-1 instead 9-1. It feels like that, Boyle. Good to see your comments coming through as well here. Let's go for 3 straight days of green. Let's not ask for too much now, Sam. Chadwick, how's it going, man? Seattle. Yes, lots of texts. Sanju, how's it going? Our awesome mods of the channel. Bjornjar, hopefully I pronounced that right. From Norway, London, England, New Jersey, Austria, Cleveland, Berlin, Australia. Paul, how's it going? A lot of Juju Gang members in the chat today. Sweden, Oregon, Hadouken, how's it going, man? From Los Angeles. We need a Hadouken ending for this wild 2022. Yes, Alex says, whoever covered calls on the first trading day of the year, congrats. We should do that. Let's go through the year-to-date price action. Not that anyone wants to, right? But let's just screw it. Let's just do it. Okay, Bill O'Reilly style. So this is the daily. I'm going to turn off all of the moving averages, all of the volume weight, all of the technical indicators just for a hot second, just so we can look at this year to date, 2022, right over here. So here is the year to date in weekly candles, the Tesla price performance this year. You can see we started the year hot. First week of the year, we pretty much hit close to all-time highs, $402. This was on the backs. Who remembers this? This was on the production and delivery report that came out. Tesla blew it out of the water. Amazing report. First trading day of the year, I think Tesla was up like 10%, right? Everyone remember that day? That infamous day? But you know what's crazy, past that even though we sold off to now, post split $233, we actually rallied back and came close to $400 a share post split again in April. And for me, I don't know if this is accurate for you guys as well, but for me, I almost forget about this big rise that we saw in April. It just feels like it's just washed under the rug. I actually don't even remember us hitting this is probably 1100-ish bucks, right? 1100 something, 1150 or whatever it was pre-split. I don't even remember this April high. That's how long ago it feels like. And that's how much, quite honestly, shit has happened between now and then. Anyways, from then, I don't think anyone needs to know. The Fed continued its policies, continued increasing rates. We thought we found a bottom in the 250-ish area for a couple of months here. And then right around end of September, October is when Elon bought Twitter. Correlation doesn't always equal causation, but right around here is when Twitter closed, and then performance since Twitter here. And what's crazy is our low of the week, not that anyone needs to remember, is $109 a share. Kent says in April, Tesla was positive year to date. Yeah. Yes. Well, what's crazy now is a 10% increase in Tesla is $12. Crazy. $12. Let's go in discreet. Scott as well. Yeah, you know what's nuts is year to date, and I can actually pull up my Chrome here. I've got a bunch of tabs here that I want to go through with everyone later. But let's just pull up Tesla. Let's do year to date, and let's just throw in a couple of extra stocks just so we don't feel as bad. Let's throw in Nvidia. Let's throw in Lucid just for a little auto EV comparison. And it's another stock. Someone give me a couple other stocks I can throw in here. I'm going to turn on the chat box as well with, hold on here, with the color source. Where's the color source? There you go. Someone give me some other stocks to throw in as a comparison. That would be fair here. Enphase, I don't know. I don't really follow. Amazon, okay, Amazon's a good one. Apple would actually make me feel worse. So I'm going to throw in Amazon. And let's do one more. And I'm going to, hold on. I'm just going to move the chat box to the side so we can see this for now. Rivian, I kind of have Lucid. So let's do one more. Let's do Meta. Okay, Meta. Meta's a good one. Because that actually is crazy considering how far we thought Meta fell for the year. Okay, year-to-date performances on all these stocks right in front of you. Tesla, year-to-date, 69.5. We're ending the year down 69%. I mean, I don't believe in the simulation theory, but I feel like there's some legs there. NVIDIA finishing on 52%. Lucid down 83%. Look, I don't consider it a really high bar to close relatively stronger than a company with minus 200% gross margins and really early in their stage of profitability, of their non-profitability. Amazon finishing on 51%. And Meta, what's craziest is I think this Facebook comparison, right? This Facebook comparison actually it's kind of gut-wrenching if you think about it. The weakness that Meta had throughout the entire year, right? Tesla pretty much caught up to it and beat it to close out the year. That's how bad the last couple months have been. You know, we talked about Meta, we talked about Facebook as being like this, like the worst performing mega stock in recent history, crazy dips on earnings. Well, Tesla was holding up pretty well. And for Meta to close relatively stronger than Tesla to end the year, I did not have that in my bingo cards. Kind of crazy. Really crazy. Discreet saying we entered 2020, 2021, and 2022 with the previous year's highs, but now we're entering 2023 with the previous year's lows. It's a good way to put it. I mean, that's fair. I think those are facts. So hopefully that means next year fares a little bit better. I see someone saying Google. I'll throw in Google. I think that's a pretty good comparison. Google prints a lot of money. Google finishing down 40%. So, oh, hold on. Let me get rid of NVIDIA. Let me put in Apple for a second. So Apple closing down 30%. Who has any predictions or any theories as to why they think Apple closed down relatively stronger compared to everyone else? Anyone have any theories? Gio wants me to put in charge point. Sure. I'll put in charge point. Yes. I see it in the chat. Charge point for those asking, 52% down for the year. And yes, buybacks indeed. Yes. Look, buybacks don't make I'm not sure why, but I kind of got some hate for this last stream that I did on a comment. Someone said, yeah, take your comment about buybacks back. No pun intended. It's not going to work, or you're saying they're not going to work, but buybacks are a big deal. They're going to float up the stock. I'm trying to have it both ways, folks. I'm trying to say I'm team buyback, which I am, but I'm also trying to say, look, it's a long-term strategy. You shouldn't look at the buybacks as a way that will prop up the stock or cause Tesla to rally 25% in a day or a week or a month or whatever. So I guess I'm trying to have it both ways, but I'm trying to be more nuanced with my take there, right? I'm still pro buyback. So yes, Wall Street, Apple is a Wall Street darling. Yes, for sure. It's considered for sure blue chip. It's also looked as like a cash tech position almost, right? George says held by big corporations and institutions. You know what's funny is we should go through institutional ownership of mega caps and see how wide it is. Because institutional ownership, actually, let me see if I can try to pull that up. Institutional ownership of, let's see, Tesla. Shareholders, institutional holdings. Let's pull this up. So Tesla ownership, and again, I think this is pertinent to 13F filings last quarter, so keep that in mind. But institutional ownership for Tesla is 44%. Now, do you guys think do you think the institutional ownership has gone up since this was last published? Up or down? You used to be laughing at Meta. Well, yeah, I mean, I was, and I'm sure you're talking about yourself, but I think we all were like, wow, this is ugly, right? And it's worse. Cook doesn't tweet. Yeah. Well, actually he does, but his team tweets for him. Do you guys think institutional ownership for Tesla will be up or down next time this is reported? I'll tell you what, I think it's down. In fact, I think the large volume that we're seeing, flat, fair enough, down. Michael with the hot take saying up, okay. Well, you know what? If you look at volume for the day, 133 million shares traded, which is actually it's cooled down quite a bit compared to what was volume yesterday. Volume yesterday was 221 million shares traded, folks. 221 million shares traded. So 2 days in a row, we had over 200 million shares traded on Tesla. So, technical analysis 101 would tell you if you're trying to find the bottom, try to find where the most volume kicks in on reversal days. Look for the hammer candle. You could say we got that, maybe. But I also tweeted this out on our... actually, let me try to see if I can pull it up. I tweeted this out on Monday, 27th. That is the Monday, right? The Tuesday, pardon me. Try to show our Discord here for a second. I tweeted out, or I Discorded out, this was my opinion. I said line in the sand for the end of the week is 116, which is the 300-week moving average. Don't want to close below that. And as we sit here, and I'll pull up the weekly averages again, it looks like we have officially reclaimed the 300-week moving average. Now, I know what you're thinking. Who cares? It's the 300-week moving average. How desperate are we to talk about capitulation when we're talking about the 300-week moving average, which is fair. But I'm not sure what other points to really look at other than the 100 psychological level because of the split. The 300-week is not something that's often used unless we're in the severe bear market that we're in. So you could disagree with it, but just how I thought the 200-week moving average breaking last, what was it, the 16th of December? You guys remember that stream? Or pardon me, what day was it actually officially that it broke? I think it was like two or three Fridays ago. And I was like, breaking the 200-week moving average is not good. Do not want to see this. Elon was selling, so maybe there's a degree of like maybe this bounces back because Elon was artificially bringing the stock down, let's say, or temporarily bringing it down. Someone says, explain a hammer candle. A hammer candle actually would look something like this. So a hammer candle is essentially, here, I'll try to zoom it in just so I can illustrate the point better. So a hammer candle is, just try to imagine a hammer, right? Long wick on the bottom. Essentially what this is signaling, so, like, at least if you're in a downtrending market and if you're looking for a hammer candle, it would look something like this. This is on the weekly. Is that the stock would exhaust itself on the downside. It would sell off. And to end the time, so to end the week or to end the day, depending on the candle, buyers would come back in and buy up all of that weakness. So bulls take over to end the week and ideally finish at high of the candle. Now, the high of this candle is 125, 124.50. We'll see if we get there in the next 45 or the next, 45 minutes here. But that's what you're generally trying to find in areas where you'll see, like, for example, this might be a hammer candle. Next week was stronger. Again, technical analysis is all it is trying to figure out what are the trades signaling in terms of buy? Are there net buyers sitting here? Are there net sellers sitting here? So for the last couple of weeks, if you look at the weekly candles, you'll see they were pretty much fully exhausted on the downside. We would close at the lows every week. We would start at the highs. Sellers galore for the last 2 weeks. Of course, you didn't need candles to tell you this, but just in visualization form, this is kind of how you interpret it. Okay, 122. Oh, folks, we are rallying here. 122.63 sitting on Tesla. I didn't realize $1. There we go. I hope that helps, Randy. Royce says, just saw this on Twitter. 0 large cap stocks hit new 52-week lows today. 0. Do you mean all? Because Tesla hit a new 52-week low today. Today, not this week. Okay. Oh, fair enough. Well, I mean, by the way, how sad is that we have to say stocks did not hit a new yearly low today for us to be happy? But that's fair because this week was pretty ugly for sure. Exactly, Paul. Jim says January starts with a short squeeze. I hope, but you know how I feel about hope at this moment. Let's see here. Okay, so we held some fib retracements as well. Hey, I'm just trying to have some fun. We're rallying here. 86 cents. Okay, let's talk deliveries. Let's do it. Okay. So deliveries, production delivery report is probably going to come out, I'm guessing Monday, January 2nd in the morning. And Monday trading is closed. I am just going to confirm that before I spread some false information. By the way, the tax loss harvesting thing that I was talking about last stream, apparently that only applies to Canada. Okay, Monday, January 2nd is indeed closed for New Year's Day observation. Perfect. So we're going to be trading for the first time on the 3rd, the Tuesday. Let's talk production delivery report. Let's throw in the chat. You don't have to throw in produced. Let's just do delivered, because I think last time you guys gave me some flack for saying production, because I said production was always going to be higher than deliveries last quarter because of the wave. Or do we even know of the wave last time? I don't know. Whatever. Let's go through deliveries. Throw your delivery guess in the chat. And let's go from there. And in case you needed some context, you were probably brewing on your guess, I'll read out some Gary Black context on deliveries. So hopefully you can get a wiser guess in the chat. So Gary Black says, fourth quarter Wall Street consensus now at 420,800. I'm at 420, says Gary. Pros, low inventory. Elon allowed to sell $3.6 billion of Tesla just before fourth quarter trading window closed. No revised guidance from, quote, just under 50% growth year over year from third quarter conference call. I disagree. I don't think that was guidance official. I think that was just an offhand statement. Tesla never officially guides, as we all know. And I don't think Elon having to sell means that they're going to materially miss from that. It could entirely be in the cards. That's all I'm trying to say. Anything is possible here. I am not reading into Elon selling as a bull thesis here. Maybe I'm just jaded at this point. Negative, Gary says, declining China weekly insured units. No December China exports until the 29th of December. So, of course, if China exported a lot of cars to end the year, they're not going to be delivered before the end of the year. Now, my prediction is, I'll throw in the chat just so it's on the chat there. I'm going to say 426,000. Okay, sorry. We're throwing in deliveries. I'm going to throw in 416,000 as my guess. I know. Yash is coming in low. 416,000, but I think 426,000 produced. I'm going to throw that in because I think the wave will be tighter this time. You guys know I've been talking about how I think they're going to pull all of the stops to deliver. But I think 426,000 works. Oh, we got Farzad sitting on the sidelines here waiting for me like a dummy. I've totally forgot about him. How's it going, man?
You didn't forget about me.
Let me get my headphones in.
No, you're good.
Thank you for joining me. How are you?
Me? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I saw your thing. You I was watching your thing while I was eating lunch. And I saw your link, and I'm like, yeah, I'll hop in for a few minutes and talk. Now, I was listening to your delivery and production targets. So 426 produced, what was it? 415 delivered?
10,000 less. So let's say 416 delivered. Yeah. How about you?
I've been thinking a lot about this a lot. I think production is going to be closer to probably like 430, 435. And I think deliveries will be 425. That's where I'm at.
Okay,
so 425 deliveries. Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the IRA surge and like that $7,500 discount they gave in the States is significant. And I think there's going to be more exports than maybe folks realize. But again, we're like off by like what, 5%, 10% from each other. So not even 5%. Less.
Well,
so
I think the thing is, does the street interpret it bad no matter what because of the difference between production deliveries? Like last time we know that they didn't like the 20,000 chasm between produced and delivered, even though they explicitly said like all of these cars have been sold, they're just on the way to their owners. I just wonder if now the street's revised they've overshot on the downside. Like they're too worried. So so there's a chance that you're right and they just beat massively.
Yeah. I don't know how this everything. I'm just going to assume everything's going to be taken negatively. I don't think there's going to be any positives. Yeah. Honestly. Like there's nothing good happening here from the street. Let me do this. 122.56 sitting on Tesla. I always wanted to do that.
Oh, there you go. You stole my glory.
Yes. Sorry.
I just want to give you some public props, man. The last couple of weeks, you've been putting out awesome content. You've been putting out awesome live streams. You're doing super I just don't want to wax poetic too much, but you're doing a great job with your content, and I think everyone appreciates the level of quality that you're putting out right now.
That's so sweet. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you saying that. Likewise, man. You're one of my go-tos. You're the brothers unite. Hell yeah. Yeah, dude. You're one of my go-tos. I think you do excellent work week in and week out. But I really appreciate that. I think the way I've been thinking about these last couple of weeks is I think there's so much confusion. There's so much fear. There's so much there's division. The stock price is taking a giant hit. People's livelihoods are being impacted. I'm just trying my absolute best to bring as much clarity as humanly possible in the way that I know how. And that's by just having conversations and being open about how I think and trying to create a place where ideas can be passed around and thoughts can be passed around so we can collectively figure out how to move forward, And that what you just said means a lot because I've been putting in a lot of effort to ensure that's the case. I'm treating this role that I have as professionally as humanly possible because I really feel like I can make a positive impact, and that's really my goal. So see, like that's so kind. You have no idea how much that means to me, y'all. This is very sweet. Thank you, and likewise to you, man. Like you have the best community in Tesla community, bro. Like it's large in charge. The Juju gang would only be God tier if they accepted blueberries as Juju. But until then, I'm going to reserve God tier for the Juju gang.
I was so surprised when I hopped into Tesla Herbert's stream the other day. And if you guys don't know, go watch Tesla Herbert's channel. And he did a big 20-person live stream, which was probably too many people in hindsight. But I just hop in and I didn't notice. And Farzad's just like, hey, you like my shirt? And I was like, what? Whoa, what? He's just like wearing blueberries, like huge. And I kind of felt embarrassed because I was just like, I don't have a Juju shirt like that. Like I have a little logo on the side, trying to keep it more subtle. You just blew that thing up. Like, it reminds me of like in high school when I was late on an essay, I took my 2 paragraphs and I turned it to size 22 and handed it in just to fill the 2-page requirement. That's what I felt like with your shirt when I hopped into that chat.
Man, go big or go home, baby. Like this is, I can be this is very Persian of me to be as obnoxious as humanly possible. So I was like, I'm gonna make the blueberry as big as, like literally, I'm like, how big can I make this before the supplier says that's too big? And I literally just went to the edges. I'm like, okay, blueberries, baby, let's go. I
Love
got
it.
pride in blueberries. I gotta tell you. How you feeling? How you
So
feeling these days?
I'm feeling good. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah,
I'm feeling. I mean, as good as we generally can feel.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, 2022 has just been a wild year. Not even stock market related, just like everything related. So, I'm looking forward to turning the chapter hopefully to 2023 and
yeah.
starting afresh. Not every chapter can be a novel in and of itself. So, it is what it is.
Sure.
But hopefully
I meant to cut
2023
you
is
off.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, hopefully 2023 is a lot better. How about yourself?
yeah. Yeah, it's same. I think, even with some of the hardships we've had in 22 and a lot of lessons learned, I think ultimately that's my biggest takeaway from the year is like there's just so much material there for all of us to build on for the future. And as long as we can all survive it in some way, shape, or form, I really think it's roses because if you ain't who said this, freaking Conor McGregor, if you're not winning, you're learning or something, which is
Hmm.
like basically a metaphor that's like, hey, like as long as you can get to the other side and you can take your punches and learn from them, then
Hmm.
it just sets you up better for the future. So maybe it's a little naive for me to think it this way, but even the sort of the quote unquote hardships and the difficulties that this year brought on, I'm grateful for because again,
Yeah,
it's learning lessons. It's learning
for sure.
lessons, and thankfully we are in a great position to survive through it. And I hope many others are as well. I know some aren't, and my heart aches for those folks. And I'm hoping they can sort of go into the next year with just better outcomes for themselves and their goals. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So I see Jupiter asking this question. I want to talk about it. Talk about
Yeah.
leaps in terms of context and price targets for next year. I want to dump my stock and buy deep in the money leaps so bad. Any reasons why not? Yes, I can think of many reasons to be honest. I wanted to just say this. Remember, the Fed is not on our side. We talk about macro still running the kind of the show. Yes, I think there's a degree of delta here from the Twitter acquisition, post Twitter acquisition, whether it's a couple institutions just saying throwing in the towel, saying we can't own this stock anymore, and that's been the outsized move for the last couple of months or whatever. But just be careful with options. You guys know I love options, but just be careful because if you're buying time, you're essentially like the clock is ticking every time. Deep in the money, yes, you're gonna have a lot less time to worry about. But just be careful because with stock you can hold it indefinitely. Any stock, any equity, any index fund, you can in perpetuity you own that asset. In options, even though deep in the money is like owning stock in this environment, just be careful buying theta, especially theta that you just don't know how long the Fed will continue doing what they're doing and what path that they're on. So, again, I've been saying this for I pretty much since February. It almost feels like, but I think I've said it on your channel as well. For as I've said, if Tesla could launch a robotaxi network tomorrow, and it feels like the street just wouldn't care. That's just how downtrodden I think we are in terms of the market right now. But do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think you nailed a lot of it. I think excuse me, what I think about in 2023 is um there are legitimate catalysts that I think will help the Tesla story. I don't know what it's going to do to the stock, but it's going to tremendously help the Tesla story from the standpoint of is the growth capped, or is Tesla going to have troubles growing into the next few years? I think the combination of IRA tax credit and the Cybertruck cannot be understated. Those are two ginormous levers that have been pulled, that are going to be pulled starting in January 1st with the tax credit. That's going to bring a lot of attention to Tesla as a brand and as something that's going to take up the collective mind share of the population, especially in the United States. And the release of the Cybertruck is going to add fuel to a fire that is going to be burning really hot as it stands in relation to demand for EVs. I think those two things are the biggest thing I'm looking for in 2023. And the question becomes, at what point does the market think that a forward PE of 20 or less is too cheap for Tesla? Right? So once that sentiment flips and they're like, well, Elon saying crazy stuff on Twitter. There's proof that there is no brand damage. Great. So we can remove that. New CEO at Twitter. Cool. Now outwardly, it's confirmed to us that Elon is paying attention to Tesla, even though we all know he's paying attention, or most of us know. I at least, let me not put words in people's mouths. I know for a fact he hasn't sort of lost attention in Tesla. He's just, it publicly seems like he does. So remove that perception. Great. So then you think about the catalysts from a business standpoint. IRA and Cybertruck in 2023, it's going to be completely nuts. The China situation, I think, is going to clean itself up over time. I think the zero COVID and the fact that there is this quote unquote competition coming through with BYD. The one thing you have to remember is that the majority of their cars are hybrid plugins, and they have models that are being introduced in a price bracket that doesn't apply to Tesla right now. So I don't think it's consequential. Then you have the Model Y beating records in Germany and Norway from a selling perspective, so on and so forth. So there's too many things lining up for Tesla. And then if the recession fears are subdued, or it doesn't look as severe as it might be in 2009, I just see clear runway for Tesla to grow more than 50% per year. You're not even talking about energy that will start to ramp in 2023. A lot of us can argue about how much. And then it just becomes a question again on that price earnings multiple. What does the market think a fair price earnings multiple is for a company that's going to be growing 50% year over year and whose earnings are going to top 30, 40, 50 billion per year through 2025? If it's a 20 multiple, that's a $1 trillion stock by 2025. It's that simple.
I read the Morgan Stanley note from Adam Jonas the other day, and he has EPS actually declining next year. He has EPS this year finishing off at $3.99, and he has next year's EPS at $3.77. Wow. I have a hard time believing that, considering the shutdowns this year and everything that's gone on, macro-wide and inflation. But he has, and so, you talk about Morgan Stanley, Adam Jonas, he's one of the top rated analysts, whether you agree with him or not. You just can't help to think the street really doesn't think that Tesla is going to grow EPS next year. What do you think they're not looking at that we think they're wrong about?
I was literally just talking to my panel earlier today on our live stream about this. Like, I feel like a moron sitting here looking at all these folks and thinking, what are you looking at? I can't come to those conclusions. The only way I can get there is if the recession truly becomes a significant force on. So that's a perfect example of that, right? And Elon has openly talked about it. In the case where there's a severe recession like 2009, and Tesla is forced to pick between profit and volume, they go towards volume. But if that scenario comes, Tesla is the only one that has the profits to be able to do that. So what that implies is that every other automaker is completely screwed and going completely out of business in very short order. So if that's the framework we're building this on, then okay, yeah, Tesla stock they will do less earnings, but then the economy is going to be a total disaster, because all these automakers that won't be able to sell cars in this environment, their entire supply chain collapses, and then you have a depression potentially. Maybe it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, from a recession standpoint. So the only way I can see that happening is if the recession becomes severe. What do you think?
I think the price cuts probably make sense, and there have to be a lot of headwinds with the new factories. By the way, we just got some breaking news here, and thanks for pointing this out. You get $7,500 off a Tesla Model S or X if you take delivery before the end of the year. That's from Holmars on Twitter. I see it now. So some breaking. You got a couple of days left here to take advantage of that. I think EPS next year, it depends on the new factory ramps as well, and how they go. Because if the factory ramps are harder than expected, you could see some headwinds there. Although Tesla has said that they're now gross margin positive, at least with the new factories coming up. Or pardon me, just with Berlin. I'm not sure if we've heard from Austin being gross margin positive just yet. I'm trying to see the lens through which they see it, and I think it all starts with how much of a price reduction do you think is going to happen? Because if you think Tesla has to reduce prices back to 2020, and you think costs are higher than they were in 2020 for the same unit vehicles, which I'm not sure I agree with, then I guess you could see potentially how that could be the case. But if you I'm not sure if you saw last week on Power Hour, we looked through Apple's PE during 2011, 2012, 2013, and Apple's PE went as low as 9 or 10, right? So
Mm.
these growth stocks can be re-rated during these times. The question is, how far does it go? And of course, that turned out to be way too cheap for Apple looking at 2020, 2011, 2012, 2013. But for a year and a half, 2 years maybe there, they did flirt with that 10-ish PE for a while.
Yeah, no, it's a great point you bring up. Is it's we're at the whims of the market and what they think. Adam Jonas 350 for 2023. That was his EPS.
377, I believe. I can pull it up actually. But yeah, 377 EPS next year.
I'm at
399 is
714.
estimated. Yeah, I mean, I've always said between 6 and 10-ish. I think I've leaned even towards 8 and 10 earlier on, but you know, yeah, I'm not sure how you have a model where it decreases.
Yeah, I have it. So I have 2.12 million deliveries in 2023. And I have it, yeah, what was it?
What's your, do you want to share
Sorry.
your screen?
Oh, yeah, sure. That makes sense, doesn't it?
2.1. Okay, so your ASP must be coming down a lot then, I'm guessing. I'll pull it up.
Let's see.
Oh, I might need to zoom in there.
Oh, yeah, let me see if I remember how to use a computer. Okay, here we go. Let me actually lock in my panes. Oh, I can't do, oh my God. Sometimes Google Sheets sucks, eh? Okay, there we go. Yeah, so here's 2021. Let me hide these two just so it's a little bit easier for everybody to see. Very good. Goodbye. Q1 2023. So $1.45, $1.66, $1.91, $2.12. My ASPs. So I have my ASPs coming down to 51,000.
Wow.
So from 52 to 51, right? And then
that's
in Q3
really high
and Q4,
still.
yeah, in Q3 and Q4 they go up for Cybertruck. I don't think that the prices are going to come down that much, to be completely honest. And I would love to be challenged on that, because I think the IRA in the US is going to be, I think it's going to create a lot more demand than people think. And my gut tells me that the recession is not going to be as bad as people think. And that's why, from a total demand perspective, I think Tesla's going to have too much. Tesla's going to have too much. And so the prices will stabilize around that level. Plus Cybertruck is going to start coming out in Q3 and Q4. What do you think? Do you think that's too high?
I think the recession is going to be worse than the average person, or not the average person, because I think the average person does think it's going to be pretty bad. I think it's going to be worse maybe than what you are thinking, and I think ASPs are too high by by a magnitude of 2,000, 2,500 too high every quarter.
So you think 49 is the right ASP?
48, 49, I think. Yeah.
Right.
I look, I just think next year will be tough. I think there's a chance they go up obviously after that, but I just think next year might be a little bit tough. And I think that brings you into the territory where it's just like a complete no-brainer to buy a Model 3. So I just think that's a little bit, because 2.1 is a lot, right? So how backloaded in the second half of the year, how many of the 2.1 are going to happen versus the first half? So you have 1.15 pretty much happening, 1.16 happening on the last 2 quarters of the year out of the 2.1. So 1 million the first half, or a little bit less than 1 million in the first half, and a little bit more. Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty even though, no?
Yeah, because I mean, Berlin and Austin. So right now they have an installed capacity of about 2 million. Well, so this right here, the fourth quarter production is going to be 425, 435, like we said. That's roughly on the order of 1.8 million, 1.7, 1.8 million cars per year. But the installed capacity they have, and their if you look at their quarterly earnings report, they have installed 2 million. Right? And that doesn't include Cybertruck coming on live and any other expansions that they have built. Because usually Tesla sandbags production. If that's one thing that you've looked at if you look at their sort of back catalog, they tend to sandbag production. So I do think the numbers are going to be. I don't know, man. I just don't see how they don't hit 2 million, even in a moderate recession. I just don't see it. Like, to your point, the thing that will suffer is revenues. And so if I go through and real quick and I bring that ASP down to match sort of what we're talking about. So if I bring my ASPs down to, say, I don't know, 26.5 here. What is that? It's 48,000, 30,000 here. what's the ASP here? 51. So we go, I don't know, 29, something like that. Then your EPS is still $5. So it's still
Right.
significantly above where
20%
Jonas
growth
is
year over
at.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 5 versus 4, right? So it's 20% growth year or 25%
Right.
growth year over year. That looks about right. I guess a quick question: what percentage of this goes down if Cybertruck gets delayed into 2024? I know I don't want to say that because I'm thinking bad out loud, but I think we've been disappointed with Cybertruck delays in the past. Although it feels more real this time around with everything finally coming in Texas.
Hmm.
Do you think Tesla can replace the production out of Cybertruck out of your model? Let's say if Cybertruck gets pushed in 2024, end of 2023.
I mean, it's going to be at a maximum of what, 50 to 100,000 units max if Cybertruck
Okay.
even gets there. That's,
Okay.
that's 5% of total production capacity in 2023. So it's just increasing production by 5%. That doesn't seem that difficult to do.
And this doesn't have energy, right? This is just auto.
It does. It does. It's
Okay.
everything. Yeah.
So energy is kind of crazy right now because everyone wants to talk about energy going to next year because of the IRA, of course, right? And
Mm.
I saw Omar tweeted as well. The federal government will pay between 30 to 50% of the cost of a mega pack in the form of investment tax credit. Um, I'm not sure if that's verified, but it was increased, right, to 30%. I mean, and we know margins are already huge, right? Like, I think someone pulled the code. I think someone pulled the JSON code out of the Megapack website. Did you hear about this? Someone on
I
Twitter
heard about it on
pulled,
Twitter. Yeah.
right? Someone pulled the code out and they found that Tesla was
Damn
just
hackers.
modeling out. I know, crazy, right? 60%, I think, was the margin that they were internally placing on the Megapacks.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, those would be like software type of revenues, software type of bottom line effect. No.
Yeah, but at the same time, like it's just a function of the cost of the battery and how much demand there is for a technology like that to reduce the grid cost of electricity. If anything, it speaks to just how inefficient our grid is. And Tesla has the technology to capitalize on that gap. And they're able to offer you something that's going to dramatically lower their costs, but they do so at such a cost effective way that they're going to make 60% on it. It's just a
Right.
it's just a result of economics, you know? And you think about like the construction of a Megapack or a Powerwall, what does it really entail? It's a battery with a casing. So the revenue per kilowatt hour produced should be much higher in the
Without all
profit
the
per kilowatt hour. Yeah, exactly. Than a car because there's no moving parts. All the parts are static. And the biggest portion of that cost is going to be transportation, hauling these giant megapacks around. But guess what? Tesla just unveiled and released and delivered the Tesla Semi. So now you have the chance to vertically integrate the most
Mhm.
expensive pieces of like the logistical part of getting these things to where they need to go, which is the transportation. And you already have 60% margins in this thing if that number is right, which I don't see why it wouldn't. It's energy has the potential. Dude, like energy is such a wild card in 2023 because if it really does ramp and it really does ramp at those 50-60% margins, anything is possible. Anything is possible with this stock. It really is. And I don't,
Mm.
I sound like a crazy over optimistic guy in a freaking bear market where the stock has gone down 70%. But this is the reality. The reality is that Tesla has the supply chain locked down for batteries. And once it does ramp, not if, once it does ramp, then it just becomes it
Yeah.
becomes a giant accretive part of the business.
I think what I've submitted myself to is like personally, I think Tesla could perform perfectly well, but I'm just going to close my eyes, I think, a little bit with the macro stuff because I think that's probably the healthiest way for me to think about it is because
Yeah.
like macro leads the way, the Fed leads the way, liquidity really leads the way. By the way, I wanted to show you Morgan, I wanted to show you Adam Jonas's
Oh yeah.
model just so you could,
Great.
you could disagree with it here. This is what he has. So he has risk reward on Tesla. And can you see this? Is it big enough?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. So he has total deliveries next year of 1.795. So 1.8 million deliveries next year. Total revenue 104 billion. And he has gross margin. This is surprising, right? So he has gross margin coming down 4 or 5% next year, down to 24.6. I'm guessing this is gross margin X ZEV credits, but still 24.6% is what he has. Now, I'm guessing this is a direct result of ramping up new factories, so inefficiencies with new models and ramps there, and also price reductions, I think are kind of obviously leading the way with margin here. So he has free cash flow about $13.6 billion next year. And then, of course, net debt going down. So cash position increasing by pretty much the same amount next year. Thoughts?
5 points of gross margin lost. So that assumes that the EV tax credit is not going to have a positive margin impact to Tesla, and that the net margin, in addition to that EV tax credit in the States, they're going to have to lower the price by an additional 5%. And that there's and then the deflation in the channel because of that recession or the supply chain finally catching up doesn't add back 5%. So this is a net impact. So the $7,500 plus they have to drop additional prices, plus no benefit from deflation in the supply chain, plus no benefit in costs from Berlin and Austin ramp.
Yes,
Okay.
because pretty much. Well, remember, you could lower pricing by 5% doesn't decrease margin by 5%. Lowering prices by 5% would decrease margin by more than 5%.
Yeah,
right? Because right. So they could lower it by a couple percent. I'm not sure what the math works out to there. So I think probably, I mean, I don't think the Cybertruck's going to come out first day and just be like at 40% gross margin. I do think it's going to take time to get it right, to make it efficient, to run those lines properly. And by the way, we still haven't heard about pricing yet for the Cybertruck. So that's going to be interesting as well. I see, by the way, everyone in the chat is beating me to it. Yes, I know. Okay, Tesla closing price guessing game. Let's play that here, and then we'll continue our discussion. Throw your Tesla closing price guess in the chat here. Last one for the year, folks. And thanks Farzad for joining us for the last one.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for sending me a link.
Yes, Price is Right rules. Remember, you have to be at or under to win the virtual Juju prize that I'll throw at you through the camera here. If you're over by even penny, you can't win. So with all that delay and 122.95 sitting on Tesla, I've got the Tesla ticker here above my fat chin, or below my fat chin. We are closing pretty much, we're $1 away from high of day, if you consider that bullish. I don't know. What is your guess, my friend?
I want to get this right, because if I get this right, 2023 is going to be a good year, right? So if here's the weight of the world is upon me right now. If I get this price right, y'all, 2023 is going to be the best year ever for everybody. Okay. And if I get it wrong, we're all screwed. So I'm going to say 123.
Okay.
69.
Of course. 123.69. Okay. I'm going to throw in, I'm just going to cheat here. I'm going to say we close at high of the week. High of the week is 125. That's my guess.
Damn.
I know, quite insane. 12 minutes to go here, but someone's got to be wrong, so I'll just throw my hat in to be wrong.
Thank you for the sacrifice.
So hold on. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm not sure if you know this. One time I actually won the contest, and people started getting a little bit choked. They're like, "This is rigged."
Oh yeah,
so
you told me that.
So I didn't want that. Okay, I got my trading view pulled up here, and in case anyone actually is wondering, on the hourly, wow, let me just fix this. On the hourly, we officially turned to a buy signal via the trading view super trend indicator. On the daily, though, we are far from a buy signal. Daily signal is at 142, so don't hold your breath for too long there. And then on the weekly, to turn bullish with the super trend indicator, you'd have to flip to pretty much over $200 a share. So take that for what it's worth, but quite the drawdown that we've seen here in the last little bit. But let's continue our conversation on this note. So you talk about drawdowns next year, talk about gross margin going down. But I want to hear from you about your awesome new video about Legacy Auto and everything around them potentially really being losers into a recession because of their ill preparedness about EVs and their unit economics behind it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you for the plug. Look at you. You're so nice. I put out a video yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. Freaking days blur, dude. And trying to get the story digestible for as many people as humanly possible, that that a lot of the people in the Tesla community, I think, understand very deeply, which is that a legacy auto, within the context of a recession and the EV tax credit kicking in and pulling sales away from the gas car and the overall sort of momentum towards electric vehicles in general, their financials are not set up to absorb even the slightest thing going wrong. They have um, upwards of $100 billion of really debt tied to financing of gas cars, in addition to all the assets and everything that they've built as a company that's tied to the gas car as well. If I look at their cash flows, if you look at GM's cash flows for 2022 so far, from January to September, they've lost $43 million in cash already. And so if you divide that into how many cars they deliver, GM essentially loses $9 of cash every time they deliver a car to a dealer. GM, they do that already. Ford is making about $800 or $300 per car. And then Tesla, on the other hand, is making over $2,200 per car. This is cash, your cash balance going up. So why is this important? In a situation where 90% plus of your assets are tied to that gas car technology, and where over 90% of your liabilities are tied to that gas car technology, and all the loans you've written as GM Financial and Ford Financial did for all these gas cars. And if a recession were to come down and people start defaulting on their loans, this means less cash that's going into Ford and GM's wallets. In addition to them losing money when they ship electric cars because they're not profitable for them, it's just like this crazy compounding effect of things that are going to go very wrong for these companies in the next 12 to 24 months. And if you look at their balance sheet and their cash flows and compare it to every other legacy automaker like Toyota, VW, and everybody else, everybody has the same exact story painted for them, you know? So it's a combination of the innovator's dilemma with an EV tax credit and people going to a new technology, and bloated companies that have way too much invested in a technology that's going to die, and in a recession will die very abruptly. And it's going to suck. And I don't think it can be stopped.
Are you naive enough to think that the government's not going to bail these guys out?
Of course they are.
Of course, I mean, the IRA, there's new guidelines around the IRA, and there's some weird business about the Model Y not qualifying, right?
You know who got screwed even more? You know who got screwed even more? Ford.
Who's that?
Ford.
The Mach-E.
Dude, let me show you something. Can I show you something? Like,
yeah, there you go.
So,
oh, I pulled up your screen. Is that okay?
It's okay.
Oh, I just want to share in case you didn't.
She's cool, people. Oh, you're good. So if I go to Ford Motor Company,
yeah,
look at this car.
Yeah, the Mach-E.
So the Ford 55. Mach-E is not being considered an SUV. All right. Yeah. So which means, so right now the Ford Mach-E today is getting the $7,500 tax credit from the legacy EV tax credit that was capped at 200,000 units per manufacturer. Right. So now, come the new year, the Ford Mach-E, the SUV, most of their cars, especially like their higher trim cars where they make money, is priced well above 55,000. If you go into their builder, the equivalent model Mach-E that's competitor to the Model Y, the all-wheel drive long range, is $63,000. Okay, so what does this mean? There is a 15,000 price swing between the Mach-E and the Model Y. You can get a Model Y 7-seater with a $7,500 credit now, and the Mach-E has become $7,500 more expensive for the trims that go head-to-head with the Model Y. And so what this means now, go ahead, sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead, finish your thought, sorry.
No, that was it.
So the Model Y 7-seater, though, is $3,000 more, I think, is an add-on, right?
That's correct.
So what's the net, what's the total cost before rebate on the Model Y 7-seater now?
I think it's 60, 66.
Yeah, sorry, because I'm always looking at Canadian dollars, so I just never know what the American.
You silly Canadians and your weird dollars. My God.
I think someone said if you scroll down, you can hit new configuration. I don't know if it's hidden or something, but maybe you can't anymore.
Was there
I don't know.
For a hot second.
Yeah, I've had this as well, but someone said that they've pretty much made it like you can't really do it. They want you to buy. Maybe someone in the chat knows. What's the Model Y US dollars 7-seater option cost before everything? Someone will throw in the chat here, I'm sure. Scroll down a little bit. Someone
I
says,
did.
I
It's
think
not
he is.
help.
Whatever, whatever. But
Yeah,
bottom line is $15,000 swing is what you're saying because the 7-seater would qualify. The 7-seater would qualify, so that'd bring it down $7,500. Whereas you're saying the Mach-E cannot.
that's right. Exactly. And so the net price difference between the Mach-E and the Model Y is now 15,000 the other way because the Model Y hasn't had an EV tax rebate for forever. The Tesla, since 2018, 2019. Now all of a sudden the Model 3 and some Model Ys will have the 1,500 tax credit, a 7,500 tax credit, and the Mach-E does not have any. So to go plus 7,500 minus 7,500.
Okay, so it's
70,440.
70,400. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. So $7,500 off of this. So let's say 63 plus tax or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the Mach-E. I think the Mach-E is actually probably second or third if you exclude Teslas in terms of popularity. I see them everywhere, the Mach-E's, and I think they've done a pretty decent job with getting units out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you throw that out, what other car other than like let's throw Tesla aside as well? What other car do you think benefits the most here from this rebate?
Volkswagen ID4.
Okay.
Because for some weird reason, a 5-seater ID4 gets the $80,000 exemption up to. And I think
Right.
it's 100% weight related. Like, so now
Ah.
these car companies are being incentivized to build heavy EVs. So you get
Hmm.
rewarded with a tax rebate if you make an
The more
inefficient
inefficient you
EV.
are. Yeah, that's crazy.
What is this? You know
But the
what I'm
model,
saying?
but the ID4, I would say just from looking at it, it is, I think, I would say substantially bigger than the Model Y. Like
It's
there is
smaller.
a marginal, really,
Yes.
I've that's crazy because from optics, just looking at outside, I would think the Model Y is probably smaller.
Nope.
Really,
The
that's
ID4, I
crazy.
think from a cubic perspective, especially, it has 20% less interior room and it doesn't have a 7-seat option. And it
Huh.
gets the 80,000 tax credit because it's an SUV by weight.
Okay.
The
Well, so if
United States
Tesla
government at work for y'all. Jeez, man,
so
it's
what you're
crazy.
saying is if Tesla throws in a bunch of empty 4680 cells to pad up the weight, could they qualify then?
This is what they'll do. They did this in Canada, right? They'll make a gimped Model Y long range that's going to cost 55,000, and it's going to be 100 miles of range, and then you'll be able to upgrade it to 300 miles with a gap, right? They'll charge you, but then you can get the $7,500 credit. You pay afterwards, and you get the benefit of the range as well. They'll do that 100%.
They actually did do that. And fun fact, that's the way that they really lured my dad in the first time because my dad's like, wait, you can buy a Tesla for this cheap? And then when we went in, then everything got explained. And my dad's like, I don't care. I don't drive more than 10 or 20 kilometers in a given couple of days. And they're like, no, we're not selling you this software range, whatever. And then I had to convince my dad, I'm like, Dad, you're not buying this, like this
Yeah.
weird ass model. T-Mac, thanks for the super chat. Does the tax limit on the Mach-E include markups the dealer might put on the car? Won't the dealer demand some sort of cut slash markup? That's a good question.
I think it's MSRP based. So if the MSRP is below a certain level, then I think you qualify. So I think somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but the MSRP of the vehicle is really what drives the conditionality of the car being like, do
Mm-hmm.
upgrades count, right? So if I add FSD,
It shouldn't. At least in Canada, the way it works is like your base trim is the one that makes it qualify or not, and then when you add on leather or whatever to other cars, like it shouldn't
yeah,
affect it.
yeah,
At least it
I
is
think that's
here
how
like
it
that.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. I think the dealers might have to end up cutting it down to make it competitive. Personally, I'm going to throw this out. I think the real winner is the Nissan Leaf, man. The Nissan Leaf net, I think, is going to be like low 20s after the $7,500 rebate. Like, and I guess I'm a little bit biased because the Nissan Leaf was our first ever EV in the family, but the Nissan Leaf is a decent entry level EV, and on top of that, look, not every car that people buy is going to be the Tesla for their first EV. A lot of people need an entry level EV to get in the market and then eventually get into Teslas when they realize, this car is not going to be enough for them. So, I think the Nissan Leaf is probably a good winner here as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tim, as well, for the super chat.
It'll do well. I just think the capacity is probably not going to be there for them to
Yeah.
actually crank out these units in big numbers, for
Yeah.
sure. Somebody said
Yeah,
too
that's
much
true.
facial hair.
That's
I
true.
love that.
Yeah, I should shave. 123.24
All
officially
right.
closed on Tesla. What was your guess again? Did you throw it in the chat? I forget now.
123.25 actually it was.
Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
No,
Anyone? I,
123.69.
oh, right, 69. That's right. Okay, that's
Yeah.
right. Well, my 125 was a little bit more optimistic. We've officially ended the year, folks, on pretty much for the stock market now. Thank the Lord. An ugly, ugly year all around. It didn't help, by the way, how amazing the first trading day of the year was. I still remember the first trading day of the year like it was like an old schoolboy memory of mine. You know, it's just it's so long ago. It was the good old days. Uh, Quite the ugly year finishing pretty much across the board. But we finished green on Tesla today, and we reclaimed the 300-week moving average, put in a pretty decent hammer candle, if you ask me. That doesn't mean we're going to skyrocket back into the 200s anytime soon, but you know, it's better than closing red like the Nasdaq did, albeit barely, pretty much closing flat on the day, and the S&P 500 as well, closing down 28 basis points. Thoughts on today's close slash the year that has finally finished?
Geo Mission said it perfectly in the comments. Thank God it's over. We can now move on to better pastures, better years, and a better 2023. And I'm going to keep my fingers closed, my fingers crossed that this actually becomes true. Because yeah, this year was rough. This year was rough for a lot of us, but 2023 hopefully is a better year for everybody. I want to wish everybody a very happy new year. I want to thank you for all the work you've done, Yashu. I really appreciate you. I think we formed a
You as
really
well,
cool
man.
friendship this year,
Yeah.
and so I'm very grateful for you, and I'm excited to continue
Yes, sir.
2023 with the Juju gang and Yashu, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Appreciate that. And thanks, William, for the super chat as well. He wishes us both happy new year. It's
Happy New Year.
crazy to think. I mean, this year was just so fast, right? Like it was crazy fast. It feels like everything happened this year, from war, unfortunately, to Fed kerfuffle, to insert geopolitical World War III risk. Like everything that I think it's hard to model for happened pretty much this year. And so, you know, I'm just not sure what to think going into next year. I said it earlier in the stream before you joined. I said I think I'm a little bit jaded from this year to even think optimistically right now. But hopefully that's a good sign for the market moving into next year, that if everyone's jaded, then really like, right, that's is that form of capitulation.
I'll give you some optimism. You want some optimism?
Yes,
Elon
sir.
can't buy Twitter twice. There you go.
Elon could buy Substack, and maybe that has some sort of a canceling policy now as well.
Yes, it would be like a more professional sort of platform, and then it will cancel out the tweets that he puts out there from time to time. But no, yeah, I all joking aside, I think you're 100% right. There's just so much happened this year. My God, like Twitter, the Twitter acquisition was announced in April, and it feels like it just happened yesterday. You know, that was 8 months ago. Absolutely wild. So yeah, hopefully, I think your advice is the best. Just go in jaded. Just pretend everything's gonna suck.
No, that's
and
not good
anything,
advice.
anything
No,
that happens that's good, you'll be like euphoric, like, oh my God. Just lower your expectations. Just lower your expectations to zero. Just pretend everything's going to be terrible, and then you'll have a wonderful year.
I'm turning into the person that I have always hated, the person that's jaded, never like I know I'm kind of half kidding when I say it. I even got to be careful when I'm half kidding about jadedness, because it's so contagious. It can just it's like a virus. It can just hit you, right?
So true.
I got to be careful. Got to be careful with that. But let's do a couple pieces of gratitude to end the year with the chat. I'll start. First thing I want to say is that I'm just grateful for everyone tuning in right now and just talking Tesla with us. Good, bad, ugly. I just love how every week we can, or it feels like every other day, we could talk about some other breaking news story and just at least debrief it, talk together, pontificate, give our thoughts, discuss, debate. I'm just grateful for that.
I love that. You basically stole the words out of my mouth. I'm extremely grateful for that. I'm extremely grateful for good health. I'm grateful to have a roof over my head. I'm grateful to have a very supportive wife and awesome friends and awesome family, and I'm just extremely grateful to have people like you that I've gotten to meet this year, who I can just nerd out with, and I have a platform that's growing that I cannot believe how fortunate I am to be able to have a place where I can talk about things that I believe in, and people are like, "Wow,
Hmm.
your stuff is valuable." I'm like, "Holy crap!" That makes me feel so freaking good. It really does.
Right.
So I'm
Yeah.
extremely grateful to have that opportunity, and it's become something that I'm very much cherishing a lot. Yeah, I just can't wait to continue that with everybody here in the comments and the entire community.
Absolutely.
So very, very grateful.
Absolutely. And our winners for the day are Judy King and JL, who both guessed it on the dot. Believe it or not. Wow, that's pretty
Wow.
epic.
The
Yeah.
Jays. Dude,
Wait,
2023 is going to be insane. When has this
what a
happened
way.
before?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what a way to end the year if you think about it. Because I mean
Everybody
that
buy
I think
calls. I'm kidding.
I think it is too late officially for that. But that's only happened one other time. But today we got two people who got it on the spot. So shout out to JL and Judy. Throw some love in the chat for them. Okay, I want to get your guess. And thanks for all the awesome comments in the chat, folks.
Dude, can I give you another one here? Can I give you
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one? So if you add up 1, 2, 3, and you add up 1,
Oh
8,
no.
it's 69. Bro,
How did you just figure that out?
because
Where does
I'm
your
a math
brain
major.
go?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just
Yeah.
keep adding stuff up.
I'm
That's
always numbering.
6.9, huh? Interesting.
I'm
So are you
telling you,
saying
bro.
this bodes well for the production delivery report coming out this weekend?
2023 will be the greatest year of all time for all of us, for every single person who has witnessed this live stream. Only. Everybody else is screwed. Only for this live stream.
Or if you're watching on replay, let me know in the chat.
That's right. Yeah, man.
So before we go, I want to get your
Yeah.
prediction on production delivery report coming out probably Monday morning, right? Markets close January 2nd. What's your guess? I know you said that there's going to be 436-ish. How do you think the market reacts to whatever happens, and where are you kind of setting the bar there?
Yeah. So the way I'm thinking about I don't think the market's going to react too much to the product delivery report, to the production delivery
Okay.
report. I think they're going to react a lot more to earnings, because I think the guidance for 2023 is going to be what people are going to be looking out for more than anything. So I think I'm tempering my expectations by saying I don't think the market's going to react positively to the report, but I'm hopeful that when earnings come out in second or third week of January, that it's a surprise to the upside with how much earnings they'll do, energy's ramp, and the guidance for 2023 that will be dovish, which is something that the Fed could start doing as well in the first quarter. So that's how I'm thinking about it. What do you think?
I don't even want to follow your optimism. I just feel like I'm so jaded. Okay, I'm just going to give you my honest thoughts. I think the production and delivery report, there's a 60% chance the reaction is just blah. It's just, they kind of came in line with expectation. Okay, let's see about earnings. So I think 60% of me is probably thinking it's just that. 40% I'm throwing to a negative bias on this. Just because I think anything, like if they miss on analyst projections, I don't think they will, but let's say if they do and there's a gap between production and deliveries, we know how attached the narrative of Elon being away from Tesla for the last quarter is going to play into that. Oh, Tesla threw away all of these sales, and yet they still didn't meet our expectations that we set on Tesla as analysts. So I think there's a degree of a, like, I'm throwing out a 40% chance on that if that happens. But let's talk about earnings. I think that's a good point. I don't think Tesla will guide past we grow 50% in the long haul. That's all we care about. There's nothing really we care about this year, blah, blah, blah. I just think they'll continue with that. And then also for energy, I don't think Wall Street really projects for energy too much, but I think you're right. There could be an upside surprise there. And yes, going into the first quarter, it's going to be nice because the $7,500 credit will officially be coming out of the government's pocket and not out of Tesla's pocket. But Gio says, I hate what this year has done to you.
It's broken Yashu.
But look, this might be a great sign. But I think the margin is the risk factor for earnings because of, okay, well, how many cars in the last couple of weeks have been delivered with the $7,500 off of out of Tesla's pocket, and $3,500 before that? And if it's, a lot of volume, they could have a couple of percentage point hits off of margin, and maybe, but then again, it does depend on where analysts put their expectations in the first place, which is, kind of funny that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, you're probably right. I mean, you're probably right, but we'll see.
I'm all for the 450,000 deliveries and holy crap, and Tesla's rocketing the first day. But to be honest, wouldn't that be funny if we rocket to like 10% on the first trading of the year, 2 years in a
Oh,
row?
it would be great. Yeah. And then hopefully we don't end 70% like we did.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
I promise, folks, I'm not jaded that much. I'm just trying to work myself through what's happened. It's just been tough. I'm just trying to look through everything and go, okay, what's up, what's down. I'm just trying to reorient myself. Shorter term, of course, because a lot of this is just like price action in the short term where we see what's happening.
What you're doing, that's very important, and I encourage everybody to do this. Like, don't be afraid of your feelings. If you feel negative, let it out. If you keep it inside of you, it's going to fester, right? So just
Huh.
let it out. Be jaded. Be pessimistic, right? Verbalize it. Put it out there into the universe. And then again, just lower your expectations. Just make it so that everything's going to be awful. Like, I'm half jokingly saying this, but it works. Capitalize, sandbag yourself, y'all, so that you can be pleasantly surprised going into 2023. But I do think there's something about, like, that was my biggest lesson of 2022, is like, don't be afraid to verbalize your pessimistic feelings, and don't be afraid to be vulnerable with them in public, because that's I feel like that was the best way for me to work through them. Like, with all the stuff that happened in 2022 with Elon and Tesla and all this stuff, that's why I'm so grateful to have the platform that I do, because I could, I had to get over the fear of, like, hey, let me actually be vulnerable with my thoughts and where I'm at, in hopes that people don't think I'm like some sort of, like, I don't know, moron or weak person or somebody they can't look for advice or some sort of guidance or content or whatever. But it turned out to be the opposite. People are like, holy crap, okay, this seems to be like very helpful. It's maybe cathartic in a way. I encourage everybody to do that. It put me in such a good yeah. I'm an amateur psychologist. I should have studied psychology in freaking college, because I love psychology so much. But it really was helpful. It helped me put me in a different mindset to be able to process the craziness that was going on this year. And I think I benefited a lot in being able to separate signal from noise. But I have no idea if I'm right or wrong in how I'm approaching things until the end of 2023. And if I lower my expectations enough, it'll be a great year.
Yeah. If you lower your expectations. I love it. Per Johan asks us a question. As an engineer, programmer, investor at the age of 60, my conclusion, ban derivatives and margin. It simply ruins the stock market. Guys, what do you say? Thank you for the super chat, Per Johan. Thoughts, Farzad? I know some people really believe this.
Controversial. I think what I like about that is, so I was speaking to somebody from Switzerland earlier today. His name's Remo. He actually has a YouTube channel. I like the way Switzerland does this. So what they do is they have no capital gains tax. And then if you do derivatives, you're taxed to hell. So it decentivizes relying too much on derivative plays, like, calls and options and all that stuff. So I like that better. I don't think they should be outlawed. I think there should be, maybe there should be an incentive structure that incentivizes folks to put their money in places that is less risky and is better for society. So I think that's a better way of doing it. Outlawing them, I don't think, is fair for people that are able to capitalize on those opportunities. What do you think?
Well, I think margin. I've always been team no margin. I've said this a lot. The only time I actually used margin was last year by accident in a margin trading account, when I kept buying and I didn't realize I was in margin. But it was nothing to the extent of where I didn't have the cash to cover. But the margin, stay away. I generally, all retail investors, like, I don't give advice. Anyone can do whatever they want, but I just say, like, look, really be careful with margin. With options, though, I think I don't think we should ban them, just because options act as insurance policies as well. Like, the reason why options really exist, it's not just for lotto 0 day to expiration lotto bets on a Friday. It's because people want to hedge their bets and buy insurance policies on equities that they're long with covered calls or puts. So though I agree with your sentiment because you got to be careful, and they can really adversely affect people that don't really that kind of play with fire, right? It's like saying, do you want to ban fire? You can use it to have a campfire, or you could use it to burn down someone's house. So I get it, but that's why I think brokerages try to make it so you have to pass these tests and whatnot to be able to use derivatives and whatnot. But let's be honest, they haven't done a good job of it since 2020 and lockdowns. It feels like Robinhood just let anyone start buying options and stuff. So,
Right.
Someone says worst year for the S&P since 2008. So I haven't fact checked that, but you know what? I'll believe it. I have no doubt
Feels
in my
like
mind that's
it.
probably true. So
Feels like
awesome.
it.
Thank you, Judy, as well. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Real quick in the I don't know how long you want to go, but like Matthew Herges, the awesome freaking last name. New Tesla rider report 10,000 megapack production from Lathrop per year, confirmed by Tesla. Thoughts?
New Tesla
10,000
report.
megapack. Is that out?
What are your thoughts on that as I try to find it?
So how many are they selling each megapack for? Is it like 2 million per? A million per?
Like over that? 1 million, but I'm not sure how much. I don't see a new one. They haven't tweeted anything, but oh yeah, no, from this morning. I see it here now. Ago. Here it is. Okay. This one right here. Tesla confirms Lathrop's mega factory can produce 10,000 megapacks per year. And this was just referencing their tweet though, no? Remember Tesla's tweet thread last night? Tesla had by the way, if anyone's watching and they haven't read this thread that Tesla published, I love that Tesla Twitter is the Tesla Twitter account is actually publishing stuff like this and just giving a breakdown for the year. But yeah, 2 million each, over 2 million each.
Okay. So a 1 megapack is 2.1 million on the cheap side with installation. So 1.8 million per, and they're doing 10,000 of them. So what is that?
Well, that's their capacity. I'm not sure if they're actually building that, right? That's their they're capable of producing is the way that they put it. But yeah, 20 bill.
They'll produce that many, for sure. So 18 billion, and then probably what 50% margin on megapack, if I were to guess.
Yeah, apparently someone says 60, but let's say 40 or 50. Yeah, maybe. I'm not entirely sure because I don't think they break it down enough for us to know for sure. But
so that's $9 billion from energy in just megapack for 2023.
If there is no additional costs that we're not calculating for, like there could have a gross margin of that, but then with that comes a lot of OpEx, or maybe they stop capitalizing on a lot of their factories and that decreases gross margin. I just don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they break it down to the unit economics on the earnings on the 10K or the 10Q enough for us to know this for sure yet, right? So this is the question mark.
Yeah, but it could be. I mean, so let's assume 35% margin. Let's assume 30%, like the cars. That's $5.4 billion in net income for the whole year. So that's 10% more than I think most analysts are predicting if they're not really baking in energy just from megapack. So that could be a surprise to the upside for 2023.
For sure. And the IRA also, well, no, IRA actually, yeah, should give them a little bit of cushioning as well.
A lot.
Right. So,
yeah.
I guess we'll see, man. I mean, it's
2023, baby. I mean, there's two guesses, 69 on the ticker. There's too many things. Yashu is like peak freaking sadness here. So there's a lot of contraindicators. I'm just saying.
I know, it's so true. It's so true. So a couple questions actually rolling in here. If you have a couple of seconds, let's just
please.
Let's answer.
I was planning on staying for like 5 minutes, and I'm having so much fun. I'm like, I'll stay here for the whole day.
I appreciate that. And we'll kind of just because it's the last stream of the year, might as well.
Yeah.
What do you think Elon is factoring in when he says Tesla will be the largest company? I think you'll have a succinct answer on this.
So, we need to put the timing in perspective, right? So he said he's very confident that within 5 years, Tesla will be the most valuable company on planet Earth. Right. He's very confident. And then over time, it'll be more valuable than Apple and Saudi Aramco combined. So I think what he's factoring in, so the next 5 years, what's realistically going to be super ramped in the next 5 years? Model Y, Cybertruck, the compact car, Tesla Energy. Yep. And full
Energy. Yeah.
self-driving should be kicking in pretty hard around that time, hopefully. But let's remove full self-driving from the equation. I think those four things are going to get Tesla to over a $2 trillion valuation, the way I think about it, 2 to 2.5 trillion valuation by then. Unless he's accounting for, 8 to 10% year over year growth on today's market caps in the next 5 years, which is like, so 10% for 5 years, that's like what, 70, 80%, something like that, compounded. So Apple would be a 3.8 billion dollar company. So by then, maybe he's thinking Tesla and it'll be bigger than Saudi Aramco and Tesla combined. I don't think he's putting in too much FSD in that number, to be honest. Because if FSD was in the number, I think it's way bigger than the largest company in the world. What do you think?
Okay. I'd have to model out energy better. I don't model out energy good enough for me to give an opinion too much on it. I just kind of look at it as a out of the money option on Tesla, which I know is probably not fair considering how legit the energy side of the business is.
Yeah.
But we know for a fact he didn't say that included the bot. So there is
I don't
that.
think it includes full self-driving either.
Yeah, that's the question. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I guess we'll find out.
I don't think so.
Next question, Stephen, how's it going? Do you think Elon will announce new gigas before next earning call or on the call? This is a gripe that I have because we all expected end of the year we'd hear more about it. Of course, the Mexico rumors and the Canada rumors. Not sure if any of those were actually confirmed, but thoughts on this?
I think they'll announce it on the next call.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll announce it at Q1 call.
Fair. And Mexico?
Yeah. Mexico, yeah.
Mexico, yeah, makes sense. And I think waiting for the call is probably in line with what they did last time. We found out it was Austin the next day. It was announced.
They could also announce it with a delivery report too, but I think they'll do it on a call. Yeah,
that's true. They could, but yeah, that'd be kind of They usually don't add additional commentary on the production delivery report.
Yeah.
Torque News reported 285,000 FSD sales in North America. That's huge, assuming the report's missing context. To anyone have further clarification? Go ahead.
Yeah. So what this is that there's 285,000 total beta testers in the FSD program who have purchased FSD. So that would have been cumulative full self-driving sales up to this point. So it's not how many new sales there were. That's basically how many people are in full self-driving beta right now, which is the total number of people who have bought the option of full self-driving. Yeah. So that's since the start of full self-driving.
Yeah, and this could be subscription as well. It doesn't have to be
Correct.
packages. I see a lot of people I see on Twitter are financially modeling like this many packages sold at this package rate. Remember, I think a third of these can be subscription in the last year. I don't know a lot of people that are buying FSD packages right now in North America, considering how expensive they are, and their full self-driving is for the average person not realistic just yet. So they're just trying it with subscription, which, by the way, is the better financial model long-term for Tesla anyways. If Tesla's going to solve full self-driving, they would rather have everyone be on subscription than to buy these packages anyways.
Couldn't agree more.
Awesome. Last super chat here before we sign off. Priyan, thank you again, my friend. Can Tesla become too successful for the government? That's an interesting question.
Fascinating question. You want to go first, and I'll give you my thoughts because I have a lot of thoughts on this.
No, you shoot away. Antitrust is where my head goes immediately.
Yes, that's it. That's where my head goes too. I think Tesla, if they execute at the level that they can, they will be the most dominant force on the planet from a business standpoint. They'll be the most profitable company. They'll have the most earnings, and they'll also have the technology that's going to likely change the world the most outside of call it AI that is not used in a car setting or for optimizing energy costs or whatever you want to call it, like auto bidder and full self-driving. So they're going to have a lot of power and influence in the next 5 to 10 years. I think this is the likeliest outcome for Tesla. I think Tesla will become by far the most successful company on earth. It's going to be way too influential. And where my brain goes to is once Elon steps away or, finishes his life and passes away in 20, 30, 40 years from now, whenever his time is, I think the biggest thing we'll have to grapple with society is what do we do with this giant behemoth of a company that is dominating everything? And I think that's where government's going to step in and potentially, let's say, bring the company's long-term potential down to a more quote unquote normal level, to where Apple and all these other companies are at now, which are, they're still phenomenal companies, but they're not these, we're going to make a robot that's going to do all physical labor. We're going to make every car self-driving. We're going to make it so that the cost of energy is almost zero. Like, they're not doing this anymore. So I see that happening. I think that is the most likely scenario, that this incredible path that we're on is only going to last as long as Elon is around. And then once Elon's time is up, then Tesla, I think those forces become too large. And I think that's a credit to his unique capabilities as an individual to be the disruptor that he is. That's how I think about this one.
Yeah, I just look at Google, right? Google faces a lot of antitrust issues considering how widespread their software prowess is, their AI prowess is, their cloud-based infrastructure is. Like, Google faces a lot of this, especially like in Europe and their antitrust laws there. They've always had to pay like a lot of billions of dollars worth of fines and stuff. So I think Tesla is like more of the physical manifestation of that. I mean, yes, Tesla will have stuff like Dojo and whatnot. We can talk about AI and online. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the physical side of it with the energy, especially, right? It's a utility at the end of the day. If Tesla does succeed with their utility-based business and everyone starts switching over away from government revenues, it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But shorter term, like, when I was hearing you talk right there, I just had this realization where I was like, there's a lot of execution ahead. We give Tesla a lot of credit that they're going to do all of this stuff. And I think we both agree that, we are bulls. So, we give them the benefit of the doubt. But man, is there a lot of work that needs to happen with execution between now and that scenario. But that's also the opportunity. I guess that's also the opportunity, right? Is like, if anyone's going to do this, who are you placing your bets on? And I think no better than the 100,000 plus Tesla employees out there. They're doing a great job with it. So, but I just had that realization. I was like, wow, there's a lot of execution, not risk, execution. Well, I guess execution risk, but a lot of work to be done here. A lot of work.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah, you said it really well.
Much love. Awesome, guys. Thank you for joining me for another Power Hour stream. Last one of the year. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you, Farzad, for joining so ad hoc and random and giving us your time, even though I know you had a live stream this morning that you're probably losing your voice from. Thanks for joining me, guys. And remember, as I say every Friday, Power Hour, and this one more so to end the year, put away your phones, technologies for a little bit this weekend, sign off, recharge, do your New Year's resolutions that hopefully you keep this year around. I know I'm speaking from experience there. Redo your routine, your situation, try to be less jaded. Remember, if you're trying to become like someone, just look at me in an anti-opposite mirror and maybe you'll do better. Any last parting words, my friend, before we sign off?
Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Yashi, for inviting me on. It's always a pleasure to be on. And remember, what's the biggest lesson we've learned this year? Lower your expectations. Lower your expectations. 2023 will be amazing the more you lower them. Thank you.
There we go. Love it. Happy New Year, everyone. Take care. Much love. Yashi and Farzad signing off. Go subscribe to his channel as well. Take care. Peace.
Peace.
And broadcast.